kids. Showed up. What's up, guys? All right, today we're gonna get kind of serious. Just move this. All right, everybody, welcome. Episode 118 or 119, I don't know. I've done so many of them now, I lost track. This is the Nooner. It's episode 119. We're gonna be talking about tolerance today. We're gonna dig deep. Let me introduce myself to you so we can get right into this thing. My name's David Bradley. Welcome to the Nooner. Every weekday for the most part, Monday through Friday, I'm dropping in here 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time and delivering a little bit of a noontime nugget about either sales, business, and or life. We're going to be able to relate the word tolerance to all three of these things. You need tolerance in business, you got to have it in sales, and you definitely need it in life. And the word is being used a lot lately, so let's talk about it. So 3 things you want to know about me as we get into the Nooner today. Number 1, I'm a sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone. Been working with Grant since March of 2011. Been studying his material since 2003. When I first got into sales, it was kind of a sink or swim situation for me. So kind of got thrown into the deep end of the pool. Let me turn that down. So I didn't sink. But I'll tell you this, I really didn't swim. It was more like treading water. Found Grant's material, and then I started swimming, and swimming well and far. So Grant's technology took me from barely surviving to thriving, and so in 2011 I came to work with Grant to give this to other people, and that's exactly why I do what I do. So, 2 other things you want to know about me. So in our company, if you're not familiar with who Grant Cardone is, I got a new face that just popped in. Sohab, nice to meet you. Welcome. Appreciate you being here on the Nooner. What we do in our company, Cardone Training Technologies, is we work with companies and individuals alike. We help find and handle missed opportunity and can increase your production 15 to 30% by doing that. If that's of value to you, if that's of interest, if you'd like to see some of the things we can do to help your company or your business, feel free to reach out to me, david@grantcardone.com, or you can call me direct, 310-777-0352. 75% of what we do here is 100% free. So today we're going to be digging into tolerance. 2 other things you want to know about me. I'm the author of a book called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. Smoked cigarettes for 15 years, could not quit, tried many ways, many times, many different tips and tricks and techniques. Failed miserably. Found a way to stop though. And there's a big difference, if you ask me, between stopping and quitting. And so I wrote a book about it. It's called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. This will give you everything you need to know to kick the habit once and for all. Stop, stay that way forever. 3rd thing about me, founder of a hashtag called Rich Man's Gym. This is about home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit. I don't think you got to go to the gym to get in the best shape of your life. You can do that anywhere. You can do it from home. You can do it in the backyard. You can do it in a park. You can do it in the garage. Anywhere you can take a set of kettlebells or dumbbells or throw some Olympic rings around a big fat oak tree. That's your Rich Man's Gym, right? Strength of body, mind, and spirit. You got to get all 3 strong, and at Rich Man's Gym we do that. So let's get into tolerance. Okay, so the word keeps popping up, and it has different meanings to different people, I think. So if you guys want to leave some comments below or tweet out to me, what does it mean to you? Tolerance, from your perspective, from your point of view, what does that mean? And then, is there anybody that are there things that should not be tolerated? What don't we tolerate? What are we tolerant of? What are we intolerant of? So I just sort of want to look at the word, first of all. That's one of the things that I like to do when we do these Nooners. Is I like to take a look at what does the word mean? Where did it come from? How did it find its way into our language and our vocabulary? That's a very important piece to understand. The roots of the words and the history of the words. I'm very big on understanding history. If you don't know it, you wind up repeating it. Sometimes you want to repeat your history. Good things happen. right? Other times you just want to be aware of like, well, what am I not doing right? What can I do better? How did I blow that? How did I screw it up? If you know that history, then you can adjust, right? So let's look at some definitions. Tolerance. The ability or willingness to tolerate something. In particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. So let me just read it again. The ability or willingness to tolerate something, in particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with. So if you want to be tolerant, or you want to have tolerance, then that means if somebody has a belief or opinion that is not of your own, that you tolerate it. To have tolerance means you're going to tolerate somebody else's opinion, even if, especially if you don't agree with it, or even their behavior, right? It doesn't, good or bad behavior. Tolerance goes both ways. So that means to tolerate. So that's a verb. That's an action. So let's look at that word real fast. Allow the existence, occurrence, or practice of something that one does not necessarily like or agree with without interference. So to tolerate something, you allow it to happen. And that's a verb. So to tolerate something, that starts to have some weird connotations, right? When you hear tolerance, like in Los Angeles, there's the Museum of Tolerance. And it is all about understanding how the Holocaust happened and how it can happen again, and why we need to be tolerant of one's opinion, one's views, one's religion, why we need to have tolerance for somebody. But then you go to tolerate, and the word sort of changes its demeanor, if you ask me. Like, my mother would not tolerate that behavior from me. Right? It makes you kind of feel like a little kid, right? I'm not going to tolerate that. There's a really good book that I've read and I've recommended to everybody, Extreme Ownership. And one of the things that they say in there about being a leader in a business is it's not what you expect, it's what you tolerate. What do you allow? What do you tolerate? So now we've got these words are almost like, one is about love and acceptance of everybody. The other one is about not allowing certain things to happen. And it's the same word. So does it make any sense? I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that when you've got a word like tolerance and tolerate, that there's some division in society. Bill, you mentioned Mr. Trump. So there's something about that, right? I'm going to touch on that in just a second. So thank you for seeding that. So there's one other word I want to look at. So we've got tolerance, tolerate, the verb, okay, and then tolerant, past tense, okay? That is showing willingness to allow the existence of opinions or behavior that one does not necessarily agree with, and then in quotes, we must be tolerant of others. Okay, and then we've got some synonyms to go with this, right? We've got open-minded, we've got forbearing, broad-minded, liberal, unprejudiced, biased, unbiased, okay? So now we've got tolerant, or tolerance, tolerate, tolerant. But they kind of tell different stories, right? So now, just got a couple new faces in here. Let me just take a moment and say hello. LPC, oh, landing point. There you go. Didn't recognize your emoticon there. Nice. Freddie Dreamer, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Good to see you, landing point. So now we look at the etymology of the word. Where does that come from? So it's early 15th century, means endurance and fortitude. tolerance, endurance, and fortitude in the face of pain and hardship. It's Old French, Latin, tolerantia, which I totally probably just butchered. A bearing, supporting endurance. A bearing, right? Like balance, beam, bearing. Supporting endurance. To bear, endure, of individuals with the sense, tendency to be free from bigotry or severity. We didn't really start seeing that until 1765, meaning allowable amount of variation. Allowable amount of variation. I like that, right? And then a psychological sense of ability to take large doses. I mean, you can handle a lot. You've got tolerance. Tolerance for pain, tolerance for alcohol or drugs, right? You build up a tolerance, right? Remember we're talking about cigarettes, right? You've got tolerance for, like, so nicotine, that's how it works, right? You need a little more nicotine to get the same sensation, and that's how you get hooked and addicted. You build up a tolerance to nicotine. You build up a tolerance to alcohol, caffeine. All those things you have a tolerance to. It means you can withstand or bear more of it. Okay? So, this is fascinating to me. I hope you're getting something out of this. Okay, so now we understand the word and where it came from. But endurance and fortitude. Okay, so if we go back up to modern day tolerance, the ability or willingness to tolerate something, endurance and fortitude. Okay, in particular, the existence of opinions or behavior that one doesn't necessarily agree with. So I'm going to give you a couple quotes that I like about the word tolerance, what it means to me, that sort of reflect that, and then I'm going to jump into the First Amendment, because that's really where tolerance in this nation should exist. Wouldn't you agree? So favorite quotes of mine, which I think are important. First one's going to come from the Dalai Lama, as if this guy could screw up. In the practice of tolerance, one's enemy is the best teacher. So if you want to get good at your ability to tolerate and to be tolerant and have tolerance for other people, other races, other creeds, other beliefs, behaviors, genetic mutations. If you want to have tolerance, then you need to look right at your enemy. Take a really good hard look at your enemy. Understand them. Understand their point of view, which leads me to my next quote that comes from Stephen R. Covey, God rest his soul. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So if you want tolerance, true tolerance, if you understood. So Bill, my buddy, jolly old England, Bill mentions Donald Trump. It's interesting, whether you agree with his points of view right now, or if you disagree with where he's at, why do you think he resonates with people so well? Because there's a group of people that are like digging on this guy, that are on the Trump train. And then there's a whole other group of people that are on this Bernie Sanders train. And somehow these two men are resonating with a good percentage of the population in this country. Okay? And they're almost exact opposites. They're almost really strong dichotomies. Okay? But can you somehow, like, does it make, if you're going to seek first to understand and then seek to be understood, if you're a Bernie supporter, are you taking the time to really figure out why Trump is having this resonation with people? And if you're a Trump supporter, then are you really taking the time to try and figure out why Bernie Sanders is resonating with people? And is there a possibility that at the end of the day, you guys might have a very similar agenda, just different maps? Like your destination might be the same place. But if you don't have some tolerance, and if you, as the Dalai Lama said, in the practice of tolerance, one's enemy is the best teacher. If you don't have that tolerance, you'll never get together. And this nation currently, as you look at it, is very much divided, very much split apart. And there is a true lack of tolerance on both sides. So hopefully through the course of this nooner, when it goes up on YouTube, maybe we go viral. And a lot of people can see this and start thinking with, hey man, well, why do they believe that? There's a reason for that. And the first step before you can be understood truly is you got to seek to understand them. You got to know where they're at, what their true point of view is. Understand it, not just write them off as a commie pinko or a bigot. I don't know if that's necessarily fair, especially in this nation. And I'll talk on that in just a second. Bill says polarizing views. Grant's got it spot on. In the end, it's all about them, not you. Yeah, all right. So we'll be on that in a second. So the fourth quote that I want to deliver to you about tolerance comes from Paulo Coelho from his book, The Warrior of Light. Great book. In order to have faith in his own path, he does not need to prove that someone else's path is wrong. Okay? In order to have faith in his own path, he does not need to prove that someone else's path is wrong. Bill says, Back to the Future, Biff could be Trump. That's close, man. That's pretty spot on. That movie really, especially the second one, really kind of hit some things on the head, right? Especially now that we're 2015, 2016, those dates were so close. Okay, so fourth quote comes from Malcolm X, which this one is a nugget. It's a gem. It's brilliant. Take this with you. You'll love this, especially considering it's from Malcolm X. It says, don't be in a hurry to condemn because he doesn't know. Oh, no, sorry. I screwed up. Let me start over. Don't be in a hurry to condemn because he doesn't do what you do or think as you think or as fast. There was a time when you did not know what you know today. Love that, right? Don't be in a hurry to condemn because he doesn't do what you do or think as you think or as fast. There was a time when you did not know what you know today. So to Bill's point, it is all about them, not necessarily about, it's about you. That's what it comes down to. It's all about you. You get that? Okay, so don't be in a hurry to condemn because he doesn't do what you do or think as you think. There was a time when you didn't know any better either. And I think what Brother Malcolm is encouraging you to do is not forget that. Which leads us right back up to this whole seek first to understand, then to be understood. Okay? The good book commands us to love our enemies. You don't have to approve the behavior. So now, let's look at the First Amendment. First Amendment of the United States of America. The Bill of Rights. Verbatim. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peaceably, Chicago, to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay? So that means, number one, there is no state-sponsored religion, which also means that as Americans we can worship anybody we want. Anybody. Anything. Okay? And the government cannot prevent me from worshiping as I choose and in the manner I see fit. Nor can it keep me from having an opinion that I can freely express. It can't prevent me from publishing my opinion. And if I want to get together with a group of people and speak my mind, I'm allowed to do so. But the word in here, peaceably, means that doesn't mean I get to go get in somebody's face. That doesn't mean I get to go push somebody, and that certainly doesn't mean I get to strike somebody because I don't agree with them, because I'm intolerant of their views, no matter how disgusting they are. in this country, he has a right to his disgusting view. Even if it's wrong, even if it's immoral, even if it's evil, he's got a right to it. Because in this country, sorry, Bill, the crown doesn't get to dictate how you feel or how you say or how you function. All men endowed with 3 inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit, we talked about that earlier in the week. Okay, so let's bring this around and let's use same-sex marriages as an example. It's legal now in this country, as it should be. But guess what? If a private business owner does not want to bake a cake for some guy, for a couple that are getting married, it's his right to say no. And it doesn't make any sense for the same-sex marriage couple. They don't have to waste a bunch of time and energy blowing this guy up in the legal system because he may have a religious view that says, I don't support gay marriage. And that's his right to do it. But what's your right as a gay couple is to go blow this guy up on Yelp, to not give him your money. Because in this country, it's about economics as well. It's about the dollar. This is a capitalistic country. You don't have to give him your money. There are plenty of people that will make the cake for you. Okay, so exercise your freedom of speech. Destroy this guy on Yelp. Pick at him if you really want to. Okay, but I would just say, you know what? I'm not going to do business with you, and I'm going to make sure everybody that I know knows that that's not how you roll. So nobody will do business with you, and then you will go out of business. That's a free market. So you get to use your First Amendment rights on both sides of this thing, and it should be pretty agreeable, okay? And so the same-sex marriage couple gets to spend some real time understanding why that's his religious view, being tolerant of his religious view, and allowing him to have it, and then consequently deciding not to do business with them. But, cake guy, okay, you also have an obligation to recognize that these are 2 human beings, 2 children of God that are now in love and want to celebrate that, and you should probably make them a cake. Don't be a jerk. While it is your right to be a jerk, and while it is your right to refuse it, it still makes you a jerk. So you should bake the cake. That's the point. But if you don't want to, then I will honor your right to say, hey, you know what? That's just not how my religion rolls. That's not my belief. And it would be unethical of me and immoral of me to support it, so I am not going to. You know what, man? More power to you. That's how this country works. We don't need to fight. It should be like, hey, that's your deal. This is my deal. We'll both go our separate ways. Best to you. Best to me. Later. Who wants to make me a cake? There'll be plenty of people to make you a cake. I promise you. Okay? But we don't need to give all of this negative energy, not negatively loud, be positive, to something that's only going to continue to create more division and more intolerance. Okay? So, back to Brother Malcolm. I found 2 quotes of him last night while I was researching this topic. If a white man puts his arm around me voluntarily, that's brotherhood. But if you hold a gun on him and make him embrace me and pretend to be friendly or brotherly towards me, then that's not brotherhood, that's hypocrisy. Okay? That's hypocrisy. I'm going to read that again while I fire up this music. Thanks everybody for coming in today. Happy Friday to you. So in the words of Brother Malcolm, if a white man puts his arm around me voluntarily, that's brotherhood. But if you hold a gun to him and make him embrace me and pretend to be friendly or brotherly towards me, then that's not brotherhood, that's hypocrisy. Okay, so here's my message to you guys out in the Meerkat, YouTube, cyberspace world. Be tolerant. Be it. Be it for real. Give your fellow American their due. Respect their rights as Americans, as humans. Okay? Honor their right to be wrong. Because in a lot of other countries in this world, you don't have the right to be wrong. You don't have the right to be an asshole. You don't have the right to practice what you want. So honor it and rejoice in it. Okay? This has been episode 119 of the Nooner. Go out there and be tolerant this weekend. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Thank you guys for being here. See y'all on Monday.